Hi guys, SDJRSNF88 speaking with yet another layout update. Again, it's mostly focusing on in and around the town area, but also there's a bit happening down here as well, which we'll move on to at the end of the video. So let's start over here then. Obviously the main feature which has happened is of course that rock face. The rock face has now been painted and also been toned with all the little bits of turf and stuff. And I must say, it looks a lot better than the original sort of polystyrene just covered with a bit of PVA and bits of grass and stuff spilt all over it. But you can see it sort of blends into the wall there. Obviously there's a bit of a rough area at the top, but like I said, I've got to put more turf up there. But yeah, it's come out really, really well. And if you take a step back a minute and see the whole rock face, it certainly is an improvement. Yeah, there's the main rock face down there. As well as sort of working on this part of the rock face down here, I've also been touching up this area a bit. I've got some light green bushes, as you can see there, because some of the bushes came off, sort of thing, and it was only sort of two colours, so I decided to get this light green bush, as you can see here, a big bag of it, woodland scenic stuff, and I basically added them in certain little areas there, as I mentioned, and also down there as well to sort of blend in the area a bit more, basically. And also down there. Then another main thing which has changed is also the grass itself. Now, sadly I've already parked all the vehicles on it, but as you can see, the grass mat has since been changed, as I used the same grass as what I used over in that corner there. Basically all the gardens, all the grass around and under these trucks basically has all been, is that new turf, that fine turf, green blend. As you can see, it looks a lot better. You can see really, really better than the grainy old dark green rough grass mat that was there. Little bits of it are still poking through, but that just adds to the tone of the grass. And as you can see, it really, really blends in well with the ballast, because as you saw in the last update, you saw see the grass mat and the ballast was sitting really, really high on top. As you can see, it's now really, really subtly blended in. It's just come out better than I ever imagined, sort of thing. You see the trees are back in position, and of course, as I mentioned, all the circus vehicles. It's quite cramped, as you can see, but I think it looks alright. Tell me what you think. If it looks a bit cramped or crowded, I may move them back, may take them off the track and put them in their boxes and stuff. I'm not sure, but for now they look pretty good up there. I think I've got the right sort of positioning, that it's they all fit in, but at the same time it doesn't look too crowded. I've also added a police box up there. I still have yet to get the tram stop, and also I've put a few of the vehicles that were down here and here for the time being up on the street to make it look a bit more, make it look a bit more populated. But obviously I've still got to get figures to put up there, and I've still got to get the little grass hedges. Anyway, we'll move on round the corner. Oh, it might be a short update today, I don't know. And then we come on to the rock face down here. As you can see, I've put this polystyrene back in position as to where it's going to go, and also another sheet on top of it, which will also be part of the rock face. I may cut a bit off the top just to make it just level with the top of the tunnel mouth there, but I still have yet to do it like that. I'll most likely do that separately, so off the layout, and then bring it up and then blend it in on there, because it's sort of a section where I could just put bushes up there to sort of blend it in. Sort of like what I did there, because that has come out really, really well. Also, one of the main changes is of course the tarmac. As I mentioned in the last update, I was having really, really lots of trouble trying to get the right sort of colour. And anyway, I got some cheap paint in the range. I got some, I'm trying to think where it's two. I've got one bottle to hand here. This stuff. I got a white one as well, because they don't do a grey. Well, they do a grey, but it looks a bit too light. So I got that, and after remembering one of my projects at school, I was trying to make it go glossy, and it went matte. And I mixed it up, and it went sort of a navy colour, which is a bit weird for mixing grey and black. So I decided to add a drop of this in, just to make it a bit more duller. It's basically earth coat. It's what I used there. And basically, it really, really blended it in well, and it came out this nice colour, I think. Now, it does look a bit basic, and it does look a bit tacky in a way, but it's perfect for what I want to do. You can see where the old track went there, but you know, that just sort of adds to the tone. I have been to yards where you can see the old track bed where sleepers, where they just tarmacked over the top of the sleepers, and it, sort of the sleepers are rotted away under the tarmac, and the tarmac sort of collapsed and they make it the shape of the sleepers. There's a bit like that on a footpath at the East Somerset Railway, which can really clearly be seen. So I'm going to do that. But what I'm going to do is to blend it all in is to obviously have like, you know, like the turf like that around the bottom of the arches and stuff alongside the edge, obviously ballast as well. As you can see, this piece of track here is in the position where the furthest siding is going to be, and as you can see, there's not much room between the pillars and the rails, so there'd be no way vehicles could really get around there. So maybe vans might be able to get you around there, but what the whole point of these arches was really just so trucks can sort of reverse under and park up and sort of unload their load onto the train that way, if you know what I mean. Try to make it a bit as if it could possibly see service, if you know what I mean. Otherwise it would just be pointless if the tracks were just blocking off the arches completely, sort of thing. But yeah, that furthest siding will probably go up to the join in the board. As you can see, there's a really big join. It's actually where the board has sort of come away from the other board over the years. It is fine, but what I'm going to do there is I'm actually going to cover up this section with, and that's where the buffers are going to go, right sort of just before the gap. And then all this area is going to be sort of grassed over, as I mentioned, so it'll cover up the whole gap. And that arch there will be the road that serves the actual goods shed, which will go there and will be at the end of this track here, which obviously I haven't got the pair of points because they're still boxed up, those pico points. But that track will go all the way along there. It'll probably just be half, it will sit just along that grey line where the road sort of tarmac ends. Obviously it'll be ballasted and everything. And the goods shed, which I have, I think it's a super quick goods shed, will sit perfectly on top of there, and that arch will serve that area. But these arches will just be like, like what I was maybe thinking even having like shop, like warehouse fronts and stuff on them to make it look like they have like warehouses under them. But I think I'm just going to keep them up like these arches. As you can see, that arch has gone in perfectly. I've still got to fix it down properly, but that will be like the rest of them. That's a different type of brick I've used, and that's cobbled brick, like what I use for the cobble streets, which I think blends in really well. And that's gritstone, which I use for the edge of the platform on Compton Martin and Compton Quay. Well, the quay edge on Compton Quay anyway. So that's not going to be staying there. That's just a tester piece, but I've just put that there to give you a rough idea. But yeah, so basically I'll just have vehicles parked up under there, and obviously I'll have bushes and stuff. I've also got to, you can see where a bit of grey paint got on the wall, so I've got to get a bit of white and to cover up that as well. So yeah, but that's all what's really happening in this area. And one thing I forgot to mention was the what they call it, the earth coat paint that I mentioned is why there's earth coat paint here. Now the reason being was that, as I mentioned, when I took up all the ballast in, I chipped up some of the board, as you can see here, this area here. Some of the board came up with it, making it uneven, and ironically it was in quite a lot of key positions. So there was quite a lot of chips and missing around here where all the points are going to go, and of course the points have got to sit perfectly flat. So we've got some, I believe it's poly filler, and mixed some of that up, and obviously filled in the holes, flattened it down, sanded it off, and well, chiseled big chunks off. And just to make sure none of the powder was getting in the way, I just painted over the top of it. I hoovered all the powder, but then I painted it to sort of blend it in. And I'm thinking of maybe doing this all about the whole area to give it a sort of an undercoat if any of the ballast comes off. But that was just a bit of test areas. So I covered up the where it was filled in. But as you can see, this is the sort of layout so far of the sidings. As you can see, this is the pico point. That's one thing I forgot to mention as well. I've relayed this whole track here. I managed to relay it, and it's gone down quite well. There's a little kink in the corner here, but then again, there was a kink there originally, but it was quite large. But I managed to squeeze it up, and it's actually not too bad now. So, but yeah, the first lot of pico points is down. This is all temporary, but this is where the track's going to come in. There's a little section straight there, so it comes out to there, and then obviously there'll be a pico point there, a pico point there, and then that'll go down to the over the inspection pits. Engines will not be allowed to park there, purely because engines coming around on the inside will collide with them, because sadly when I originally did this layout, I didn't measure the overhang of carriages and stuff, and clearly they would collide on that section of track. So the engines will have to either reverse into the engine shed or into the coaling siding, which will be there. Which is perfectly fine because there's no way of parking an engine there anyway unless one of those things is clear. So I'm not going to be parking any engines there, but I know that and I'm operating the layout, so that's that sorted. Then of course we got this one here, which is the other engine siding. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to put a special piece of track in here, which I have yet to get. And basically it's isolating track, like on Compton Martin. And basically that will go in the centre there. So that means I can park 2 engines in one siding. So I could drive one all the way to the end, isolate it, drive another one in, switch the point, isolated. So that means I can have an engine parked there and parked there in the same siding. So the shed has a capability of holding 4 locos without any of them moving, sort of thing, which is perfect. Then we obviously, this will be a pair of points, as you know, and that will be the long siding to the goods shed, and then we got a slightly shorter siding which will serve the arches and also could act as a department siding for like department stock, like a breakdown train and the diesel shunters or steam shunters and all that. I sadly have to report that one of the steam shunters, as you know, Chew Valley, which one of the famous little engine on Compton Martin, as I say. Sadly, I went to test run her and she went up in smoke. I don't know what it is, but she's an Electrotran loco, and I ran her on the outside track. I ran in my Sentinel. You ran perfectly fine. I had the layout running perfectly the other day, but I put on Chew Valley and she just jerked about and then just went up in smoke. This is the second time this has happened. As I mentioned when I first took a look at her in my Compton Martin update, I mentioned that this was a replacement and the other one went up in smoke, and sadly Chew Valley did the same thing, which I don't know what to do now. Signals have kindly said that they're going to replace her, so I cannot thank Signals enough. I know I feel really guilty about taking back my locos, which seem to always have faults, but I just can't thank the people at Signals enough. They really do help me out every time I I accidentally get like a faulty loco for whatever reason. Some of the times you get the manufacturers of them. Sometimes they cut corners, but sometimes it's just one of those things that you're bound to have a few broken eggs in a few broken eggs, if you know what I mean. And they can't exactly test every single one, but I seem to find all the broken ones, but I cannot thank Signals enough. So this is really a bit of an apology as well to Signals for for over the past year or so me taking back so many engines and you kindly replacing them or giving me a refund every single time, because you really are great people and I cannot thank you enough for doing that. But yeah, sadly Chew Valley is now going to go back. They have a replacement over there for her, which is another Electrotran Santarus. But whether or not I will get her or not, because like I said, it may just be that she doesn't like the track. I don't know why, but she ran perfectly smoothly on Compton Martin and at the exhibition, as you saw. But she just doesn't like the HM2000, I don't think. But it says 12 volt DC. This is 12 volt DC, so clearly there's something wrong with the motor in them. But anyway, so that's a big apology and a big thank you at the same time to Signals, where I get nearly all my stuff to. But yeah, that's about it for this update. Sorry I blabbered on again, but that's about it. We've got the track down, town scene's coming along well, and we're starting on this area soon. I'm thinking of ballasting this area first, so I can move Compton Martin under there without the risk of glue dripping on it, and then then starting on this area, so get this section, this half complete first, then that half, sort of thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this update, and in the end this update did end up being long for me blabbering on and apologising, but there we go. So anyway, that's all for now. So this has been SDJR88 speaking, and thanks for watching.